Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello and welcome to today's session on information systems. This program is being broadcast on Swayam Prabha, channel 16. My name is Dr. Sudhender Hanumantarao. I am the Dean of the Faculty of Management and Commerce at Manipal University, Jaipur. Today we are going to look at a specialized class of software called enterprise systems. In information systems, we use software for everything. For recording, for showing us movies, for taking photos, doing word processing, sending email, reserving a ticket. For all our activities, we use different types of pieces of software. One special class of them is known as enterprise systems. We will take a look at what are enterprise systems, why are they important, what are the characteristics, and how best we can make use of them. Let me share my desktop. This is a session of information systems, a class of applications called enterprise systems. As mentioned, this is being broadcast on Swayam Prabha channel 16. So what are enterprise systems? I have taken this definition from Wikipedia, the most common definition, acceptable definition. Enterprise systems are large-scale enterprise software packages that support business processes, information flows, reporting, and data analytics in complex organizations. Complex organizations like a multinational company, or a government, or an arm of the government, or a public utility like the railways, they are quite complex in their structure, in their operations, in the way information flows within and outside the organization, the kind of reporting they need to generate, like a big bank, for example, and the data that they generate and that need to analyze. All these are very complex operations, and enterprise systems are large-scale enterprise packages which support all of these processes, including actual business processes and operations, flow of information, capturing that information, processing it, generating reports, and the like. In other words, these are software packages that interact and integrate with all aspects of an organization so as to enable it to support, control, and manage its operations and planning. Some typical examples of enterprise systems. These are some of the terms that all of you might have heard. ERP. We'll take a more detailed look at ERP as one example of this class of applications. We have CRM, customer relationship management, and an associated part of it is called Salesforce automation. Then we have heard of packages on human resources and payroll. We have packages to manage logistics and planning for logistics, especially in transportation companies. You're a large company running bus operations. Planning for the logistics is being supported by applications which are referred to as enterprise systems. Then we have software development and maintenance. We have, for example, every company, including, for example, Windows, at any point may maintain multiple versions of a given piece of software, like Windows 7, Windows 10, and so on. So how do we manage all those things smoothly so that we maintain each version separate and develop them independently? So there are applications, there are packages which will help us do software development and maintenance of those packages. Remedy is one example of that. Then we have digital resource management and version control systems. Again, tools typically used by software companies. And all these are examples of enterprise systems. Other than these, there are many more. These are some of the major commonly used examples of enterprise systems. One distinguishing character of enterprise systems, how they differ. For any software package, typically, all of us do install packages off and on. We just download the software, install it, and run. It's as simple as that. For example, installing the PostScript reader, Adobe PostScript reader, just download the package, install it, accept the license conditions, and boom, it runs. However, in the case of enterprise systems, this is one thing that distinguishes them. It's not just enough that we just download and install them and run. We need to do thorough implementation. And we need to integrate that with our existing operations. We may have to re-engineer our operations to make it run smoothly on an enterprise application. So we will see this aspect of ERP systems, which distinguishes them from any other piece of software in a little more detail in later part of this lecture. Let's moving on. So some other key characteristics. As the name says, enterprise systems work across the enterprise. It's not just one particular operation they support. There are enterprise systems even to support universities. Universities have administration, student support, the basic teaching itself, the resource management, including the library, other activities like placement and activities like admission. So an university enterprise system supports each of these operations, even developing the curriculum, developing the timetable, doing the administration, managing student support. There is a particular module of this software, one piece of software, which supports all these operations. So as you can see, this is essentially like the backbone of the organization or a company. If a bank is running on some enterprise system, typically in India, we call them as core banking systems. Without it, the bank will collapse, the operations will collapse. Because now enterprise systems are like the backbone supporting every aspect of the company. And they address one or more complete functional area. That is, it's not just that they support payroll alone. It's not that they support administration alone. It's not that they support sales alone or inventory alone. They address each one of these in an integrated manner. They support each of these operations completely, each functional area in an integrated manner. Typically, enterprise systems are aimed at tracking functions and processes. Whenever we do a process or any function, these enterprise systems capture them, track them, and help us manage those and later use that information for planning. As the next point says, they are an aid for planning activities. Enterprise systems don't do the planning by themselves, but by tracking each of the operations, gathering information about them in an integrated manner and providing them in one shot to the people who run the organization, enterprise systems support the planning activity within the organization. And they also do data aggregation. That is, they collect data from each of these operations, from sales, from purchases, from marketing, from production management, from human resources, put them all together in an integrated form, which forms the basic database for further business intelligence or business analytics. We do talk a lot about analytics in the world today. The foundation for analytics is the data, and data typically comes from enterprise systems. Typically, for enterprise systems, the input is data. Whether some of it may be entered manually, some of it can be entered automatically. For example, details of a vendor may have to be entered manually. But all the items we buy from the vendor, they can be read automatically by means of, say, a barcode system or a RFID. By means of it, we can automate so that this vendor, as and when that vendor supplies items, by scanning the barcode, we can update our inventory and say that we received 25 items from this supplied by this user. So the basic is input, which could be either manual or captured by means of an automated process. Typically, output is in the form of reports. Reports of inventory, reports of payroll, reports of purchases, reports of sales, various kinds of reports which are essentially required by managers for their decision making. So for enterprise systems, the basic input is data, basic output are reports. These are some of the key characteristics of enterprise systems. So in this course, in this class, we will take a deeper look at one class of enterprise systems called ERP, which stands for Enterprise Resource Planning. These are probably the most common type of enterprise systems in use today. Hence, we will focus more. And all the things that I am going to say about enterprise systems are also applicable to other type of enterprise systems like logistics management or fleet control or CRM or university ERP systems. All the characteristics defined for ERP are pretty much common to the entire class of enterprise systems. So what does ERP include? ERP typically includes everything related to functioning of a business or operations of a business. For example, ERP captures information and supports accounting. We enter all our transactions, and ERP systems at the end of the period can generate a trial balance and a profit and loss statement and a balance sheet and various other financial reports. It will include payroll. At the end of the month, ERP systems can track the amount of work done by various people and make sure that they are being paid as per their terms and conditions. ERP systems may include a module for production operations. How much of items was issued to the floor? What are the production orders issued to the floor of a factory? How many items were produced? How many were sent directly to the customer? How many went into inventory directly? What is the work in process inventory? All these details an ERP system can provide by being integrated with the production operations. They can support purchases. How much of purchases did we do? What are the items did we buy? From whom? Who supplied? In what time frame? Did they meet the terms and conditions? What are the prices? Various aspects of purchases can be tracked, and there could be a module to support that operation. Likewise, you could have ERP can support sales. What is our total sales? Who are the salesmen? What is the sales by salesman? What is the sales for by salesman per month? We can have sales divided by various regions. How much is in the north? How much is in the west? How much is in the south? We can divide by demographics. What's the age group of, what is the sales among different age groups? People between 18 to 30, 30 to 45, people below 80, people more than 45. We can get all those kinds of analysis when ERP is integrated with sales. Then we have mandatory reports, like it could generate excess reporting. Like ERP systems can generate GST reporting at the end of the month. What is our total transaction? What is the GST we owe? How much is the set off we are going to get? When it is to be uploaded? All that kind of operations they can do. They can also support things like treasury operations. Between banks, when they do treasury operations between themselves, that can be tracked again by ERP systems. In short, majority of operations required, majority of functions that are involved in running a business can and will be supported by ERP systems. So as I started by saying that we do use software for various things, how is ERP different and why is it important? So computer applications have existed before ERP. In fact, things like payroll and even basic reservation system, financial accounting, they all have existed before the concept of ERP started becoming prevalent in the 1980s, 1990s, and later. Typically 1990s and later is when ERP really gained traction, but computer applications have existed before that. That typically each piece of software, each application addressed one functionality. There was one software package to monitor sales. There was one software package to monitor inventory. There was one package to monitor general ledger, one for accounts receivable, or sometimes one package to do all our finance. But each package addressed one functionality of operations within an organization. And integration was done very loosely. Somebody could take data from each of these applications, load them up into a single database, and then integrate them. By themselves, they didn't talk to each other. Sales didn't talk to inventory, sales didn't talk to purchases, they didn't talk to shop floor. So typically integration was done in a very loose manner. However, when ERP came, the big revolution it brought in was it integrated all these operations by means of one single piece of software. We will see some examples of that in the following slides. For example, when I make a sale and the item gets dispatched, automatically accounts needs to be updated. A sale has happened. Either it could be on invoice or it could be on a payment basis right now. So cash or our balance should be updated, or it should be put in accounts receivable. while at the same time, inventory needs to be reduced because sales has happened. So earlier, each had to be done separately. Now ERP does them all. One piece of information I'm sending, saying that I have sold so many items, so it results in changes to the data of all these other operations. So it provides a unified view of operations. By one function, I can easily see if I do this function, if I do this transaction, what are the other operations for the business that's going to be affected. That is the biggest change that ERP has brought into the picture with very significant advantages because it provides a unified view of the operations. Earlier, we had to get a report from sales and collate it with inventory ourselves. We had to get a report from sales and look at how it affected the accounts and our accounts receivable. Now this can be done automatically. It is being done automatically. That's the big difference brought into the picture by ERP. And it involves two major concepts. ERP has two major concepts. So far as data is concerned. First one, we'll see examples of both later. A single piece of information travels through the system. If I enter that I have made a sale, it's one piece of information I have entered that travels through all the other modules too. It goes to the purchase module, it goes to the inventory module, it may go to production, it may go into accounts, and that single piece of information may get transformed. But it's all driven by one piece of information. It doesn't change. It gets transformed. The data itself doesn't change. That's first thing. This is very important to provide a key function known as traceability. We'll briefly talk about traceability in one of the later slides, but it is this key concept that one piece of information travels through the system is what provides us the traceability. And the second aspect, which is critical to ERP, is all aspects of a business is captured in a single unified data model. There is no separate data for sales. There is no separate database for purchases. There is no separate database for accounts and another database for HR and payroll. They're all captured. They may physically be in different physical databases, but the data model, the way we look at it is we see it as part of bits and pieces of the same database conceptually. So all the data of a business is captured in a single unified data model, which is what supports the first operation. That is, when we enter one piece of information, it travels through the system it may get transferred, but the information is the same. So here is a simple example of that. Suppose I get a sales order, and these are the various things in big letters are the various departments or functionalities within my organization. There is a sales department, there is an order fulfillment department, there is accounts, there is the final customer, of course. There is a supplier. These are all parties we deal with. There is an inventory management, which keeps tracks of the goods received. And there may be the actual physical plant, which may actually manufacture the item for which I have received the order. And this particular item may require not only parts that we manufacture, but also parts we buy from a supplier. I might make the part, but I might be the packaging box from a supplier. Typically, that is how business gets done. And this graphic depicts all those things and the flow. So let's start with the sales. We get a sales order, one piece of information. I'm going to enter that I have received an order for 25 items of this particular item by this customer. Delivery date and all those things will remain the same. Now the 25 pieces of item may result in two separate things. One is one purchase order going into the plant. I get a sales order. It becomes a production order. Sorry, not purchase order. A production order to my plant to manufacture those 25 parts. It may be in inventory, it may not. If it's not, it becomes a order to the plant to manufacture those 25 parts. Now, when I make 25 parts, I need 25 packaging boxes. So a purchase order goes to a supplier. A purchase goes to supplier to supply the 25 packaging boxes. The supplier, when he or she receives the order, they might have the item, they may manufacture it, they make it and dispatch it to our purchase. Our purchase makes a note saying that we have received 25 items from this supplier against the sales order. The reference is the sales order. Remember, order for 25 pieces of the item. So goods received verifies that our order is for 25. We have received 25 to match with the sales order that we have entered. At the same time, the plant which manufactures those 25 parts, again, using this one piece of information, it takes that, manufactures 25 parts and sends it back to the order fulfillment department, which verifies our sales order started with 25. We have manufactured 25 items. They get both the items, put the items in their boxes received from the supplier and dispatch it to the customer. And they generate, typically, if the item is going to be shipped by either a truck or a train or a ship or a plane, they generate some document, either a lorry receipt or a airway bill or a way bill or something like that. The order fulfillment dispatches 25 items to the customer. Where did the 25 come from? It came from this 25 order. And it refers those numbers, gives the details, the number of the lorry, all those things, dispatches the item and sends a piece of information to the customer. At the same time, the order fulfillment department sends the order plus the detail of the receipt, the lorry receipt, to our accounts department. So our accounts department knows that the item has been purchased by this customer and it has been sent also because we have a way bill or a lorry bill. That and account department knows that this is based on the order for 25 items entered by our sales on such and such a date against this customer. So the accounts department sends an invoice to the customer, referencing this, their sales order and their lorry receipt number and the lorry receipt number that we have sent them. So the customer matches the two. When they receive the item, they make the payment, which goes back into the accounts. Meanwhile, the supplier sends an invoice. Remember, our supplier has given us 25 packaging boxes. The supplier sends an invoice to accounts. Again, accounts matches that with the purchase order issued by order fulfillment and the sales order we have received. And if all the three pieces of information match, accounts department pays the supplier for the items. Now we have all the information provided in a single database. We have information on the order we received. We have information on the items that are manufactured. We have information on the supplier who has supplied the goods. We have information whether those supplier goods have been received. We have information based on the way bill or the lorry bill sent to the customer. We have information on the invoice sent to the customer and the information sent back to the payment. At each point, typically information is captured automatically, except for the first one, which is entered manually. There are systems which may do some of this manually also. But the key for everything is this order number for 25 items received and entered by sales. It is that information which becomes an order for manufacturing 25 items, becomes a purchase order to supply 25 items, becomes a way bill which shows 25 items being shipped to the customer. It becomes a foundation for the invoice for 25 items sent by accounts to the customer. So this is the key driving feature of an enterprise system, that all operations of the business can be captured and driven by one single piece of information. And it's all stored in an integrated form. They all relate to each other. So if tomorrow somebody has a doubt whether we have received all the amount from the customer, then we have all the information. All we need is that one single sales order. As I get the sales order number, I can track exactly what happened and finally be able to say whether the customer has paid up fully or we need to follow for receiving our amount. So this is one of the key concepts of an enterprise system, especially ERP, that one single piece of information travels through the system. And the other concept is an integrated data model. This, for people who understand databases, you can see that these are all the various attributes or fields within a database. They may be divided functionally into different departments, or they can also be part of a single database. And we see that every functionality deals with different aspects of the database. For example, sales and order processing system has to interact with the data relating to the customer. We need their address, we need their phone number, we need their contact details, and we also need to track of the orders that they have placed. This same module, sales and order processing, may have to interact with the purchasing or inventory. We need to find out whether all those items are already existing, or do we need to buy new items and place an order to our purchasing to manufacture the item. Based on this, we can give a commitment to the customer as to when we can fulfill the order. We can go back and say, based on the information we get, that we have all the items in stock, we are going to ship tomorrow, or we need to make some of that, we can ship next week. That comes by integrating between these two different databases, these two different functionalities. And once the order has been placed and we have shipped the item, we need to interact with the financial information so that they can raise an invoice to the customer. So each module or each functionality deals with different aspects of the data, but they'll all be stored conceptually in a single database. This is what supports traceability and one piece of information flowing through the system. These are the two key concepts. One piece of information travels through the system, may get transformed, but it's all based on one single piece of information. And all the data is stored in a single integrated data model. Physically, they may be in databases, but for our planning purposes, for developing applications, we can treat them as part of a single database. And the other aspect, all of this, putting all of these functionalities into a single package might make the package very complex. What if I am just a distributor or a stockist, for example? I talked about different modules of ERP. There are production, purchase, sales, excess reporting, various things. So what if I am just a distributor? I have no manufacturing, and all my entire logistics, that is, I'm bringing items in, sending items out, is handled by outsourcers. It's been taken care of by somebody. For me, the key operations are my sales, essentially, my sales, my purchases, and accounting. I only have 10 employees. I may not need to automate payroll. I don't have any production, so I don't need to worry about production operations. I don't have manufacturing. I don't have to worry about excise reporting and similar activities. I don't have any treasury operations. For me, the key are sales, purchases, and accounting. So why should I go for a package which does all of this? So so software developers have addressed this issue, that they don't develop everything in one single piece so that you have to buy everything together. The approach they have brought in is what is called modularization. Software developers, like whether it's SAP or Oracle or Microsoft, they have developed different modules to separate each of these operations and implement them only as and when they are required. So I'm a full-fledged manufacturer. I handle everything. So I may order for everything. I may get a module for sales. I may get an module for production. I may get a module for order fulfillment and inventory. I may get a module for accounts, a customer CRM package. I may get an order for managing purchases. On the other hand, I'm just a stockist or a distributor. I get items, stock them, resell them. That's it. So in which cases, I may just get a sales module. I may just get a purchases module. I may get an accounts module. I will not go for all these other modules. So modularization is one way that vendors, software vendors like SAP and various others have implemented so that the complexity of implementation is reduced. And not only that, we can only implement those modules that are required, and we don't need to buy everything. And more importantly, I may buy one module at a time. I may buy sales module to begin with. That's what is most important to me. Later on, 6 months later, I may buy a module for purchases, and only later add a module for accounts. The beauty is these applications, these ERP applications have been developed in such a way that at any point, I can keep adding different modules and still have them integrated with the existing operations. I will not be forced to do two different databases. On a single database, we can treat them as one single package. Sales and purchase, one single package. Later on, when I buy accounts, it's one single package which covers sales, purchases, and accounts. So that's the other beauty, this concept of modularization. Here is one picture of the block diagram, which shows different modules by one particular ERP package supplier. You can see that there is, at the bottom, there is data. There's a common database for, it's not shown here, but assume that below this delivery infrastructure, there is a huge database supporting all these operations. So there is a bunch of modules for suppliers and customers. supplier collaboration, supplier portal, supplier relationship, customer collaboration, customer relationship, business collaboration. There is one set of modules for logistics management, outbound logistics, order management, product configurator, advanced pricing, demand planning, demand fulfillment. Another bunch of modules for physical inventory, distribution management, warehousing, item administration. For finance, management accounting, fixed assets, receivables, payables, financial operations, general accounting, overall financials, planning. So each of these modules can be implemented independently. As and when we implement, they all get integrated. That is, if I enter a customer order in customer portal, that will automatically integrate with accounting and will add to receivables. It will work with inventory and reduce inventory if we are shipping items. So each module can be implemented independently also in most cases. As and when we implement them, they can always be integrated. And once we integrate this entire set, whichever modules we are purchasing, they provide us data in one single integrated form so that we can do further analysis. We can calculate productivity because we have data and information about every aspect of our business. We can do enterprise integration, enterprise application integration. We have all this. We may have another package not related. We can integrate that with an enterprise application integration like performance management. We can see what is the productivity of our capital, what is the productivity of our in equipment, what is the productivity of people. All this is possible because this ERP application, ERP system, captures information about every single aspect of our business and provides a unified view of our business. So this is an example of a commercial package and how it has been implemented. It can be implemented in a modularized form. This is another aspect from another vendor. It is, as the name says, is from SAP. This is slightly old picture. The later ones might be different from this. They again have modularized various aspects of a business. They see them differently. They see them as part of analytics, part of human capital management, part of procurement and logistics execution, product development and manufacturing, as part of sales and services, different financials. The second module is financials, analytics, financials, human resource. And these modules integrate with each other in any format. For example, human capital management has one module for talent management. Software companies put a lot of efforts on talent management because talent is the key raw material. So there is a module for talent management, workforce process management, and workforce deployment. There is a module in financials or financial supply chain management, financial accounting, management accounting, essentially cost accounting, and corporate governance. For product development and manufacturing, there is a module for production planning. There is a module for manufacturing execution, for enterprise asset management, product development, life cycle, data management. So this is how software vendors have addressed the complexity, differing complexity between different organizations. So by developing this product in modules, they can separate a small distributor who distributes 2 products, or they can support a complex multinational operation which covers all these operations across different countries. And each organization, each corporation can buy only the functionalities that they need, but they'll all be integrated at some level so that we get our integrated view of the business. So I hope by now the basic concept of an enterprise application is quite clear, and the key factors that drive it and the key functionalities they provide. So let's look at some typical applications. Where all can we use an ERP system? We can make a broad statement like ERP systems can be used in any organization where process need integration and status information. Our business has so many processes. If we have 2 different lines, suppose we have a line to manufacture pharmaceuticals, one company, one division manufacturing pharmaceuticals, another division in retail merchandising, maybe in the supermarket business. We may not need much integration between them except at the financial level. But if I do manufacture pharmaceuticals and distribute them, then I would obviously need to integrate between them, integrate the processes. So in any organization where processes need to be integrated, ERP can be suitably used. For example, a trucking company may need to integrate its fleet management. When do we dispatch which fleet to where with its maintenance? When does this truck come for maintenance? What are the components that we need to maintain? We may need to integrate that with your parts purchaser. We purchase for maintenance parts from various vendors. So we need to integrate with them. And of course, we need to integrate that with HR. We need to know who are the drivers who are driven, how long have they driven, what incentives do they qualify. So even an organization like trucking will need to integrate its different processes, managing drivers, managing fleet, managing maintenance, managing our vendors and customers. So pretty much all organizations do need integration of their various processes. So in all such cases, ERP can be profitably applied. For example, manufacturing, ERP is very commonly used in manufacturing. All big manufacturing companies today have made significant investments in implementing ERP systems. Any kind of manufacturing. It could be a continuous manufacturing or stream manufacturing. It could be discrete manufacturing or batch manufacturing. It could be equipment-oriented manufacturing. For example, or it could be in assembly and construction. So depending on kind of manufacturing we do, in every type of manufacturing, and ERP systems can be implemented for gaining all the benefit that they provide. Trading, I've already mentioned how a distributor can use ERP. So trading is one operation which is very commonly supported by ERP. Transportation is another application which is commonly used by ERP. Now even service sector industries like universities today are profitably deploying ERP systems. The various ERP systems developed specifically to handle universities. There are various ERP systems developed to support travel operations, travel and tourism operations, travel agents, to people who do package tourism. There are ERP systems developed to support hospitality industry, like hotels or hospital industry, the medical support industry. So both the production and service sector industries are able to implement and gain the benefits of ERP systems. Retailing is very much like distributorship, trading. So retailing also heavily uses ERP systems. Education industry, as I mentioned, universities are implementing ERP systems. Printing and publishing, for example, are able to use ERP systems. Most of the services sector industries, except though there are types of services industries or service operations which are not transaction oriented. A travel agent, for example, provides travel services, buys a ticket, makes a hotel reservation. These are all which do transaction. But to support learning, for example, I mentioned in education in universities, we use ERP to track students, to track their attendance, to track their how much fee have they paid, track their progress. But ERP system is not good at delivering education itself. The various educational materials, how much the students download, how much they have studied. Different parts of software are used to cover that aspect, and that's not a transaction-oriented service. Delivering education, or for example, providing customer support. A customer may be having some problem. We may open a ticket to support that customer. There's no transaction cost involved. For one customer, that support could be completed by one call. For some customers, that problem they are facing, the ticket they have opened with us, may take 1 month to solve. So there is no fixed time to make sure that this customer is supported fully. So for non-transaction based oriented services, ERP is not very good at, but for everything where it can be captured in a transaction, ERP systems are very good at supporting those operations. So pretty much most aspects of business today are covered by ERP. So it's not good for, I just mentioned that ERPs are good for capturing transactions. However, ERP systems tend to be big, as we have seen based on the various modules here. ERP systems tend to be big and heavy. There are certain cases where a transaction has to happen quickly. So for example, ticketing and reservation systems. The customer is in front of me. I have to do the ticketing. When the customer is in front of me, I do it quickly. For managing itineraries, for travel and itinerary, the customer calls me for one itinerary. I may have to do some itinerary, send it back, ask for changes. So there is, before I actually do the final itinerary and provide to the customer, there may be 5-6 changes happening if then situations have to be tried. So all these transactions, all these operations where transactions have to happen very quickly, like in the checkout counter. I mentioned retail as a good example where ERP can be applied, but mostly that is done at the back end. In the front end, that when I'm at the checkout counter with the cash register, even today you might have seen when you go to a supermarket, your actual billing is done by a cash register because cash registers are very fast in handling those quick transactions. I may have 50 items. So it has to be done quickly because there are 10 customers standing behind me. ERP systems, because they do so many things, tend to be slow. So where there is a heavy volume of transactions, there are what is called point of sale systems which handle that, like the cash register, and ERP is not very good at that. However, invariably, each of these systems, whether it's a cash register or a ticketing or reservation system, are always integrated on the back end with the ERP system. There will be an integration between the amount of items sold at the checkout counter and when it goes and updates the inventory. So that's how ERP integrates with systems which provide on the point of sale systems. On the point, they provide this cash register type of applications. They're also integrated with ERP. And ERP, as you have seen, is a heavily information oriented thing. It captures enormous amount of information. And ERP systems are not very good in handling incomplete information situations. We only have part of the information. We only have the customer name. We don't know their address, or we don't know details of all the orders they have placed. ERP systems are being used, but ERP systems do not handle incomplete information systems very well. If there are gaps, that system will be, even in cash register, for example, you might have seen that if you have forgotten one item and you want to go back and get it back, it's always not easy. That cash register clerk has to put your system on hold, or sometimes they may have to call their manager to put it on hold while they handle some other customer. When you come back, they have to finish that transaction and come back. So sometimes you can see that the system doesn't handle it very smoothly. So ERP systems are not very good at handling incomplete information situations. They're also not good at handling planning and simulation. What if, in many cases, we have to do an what if analysis. What if I change this parameter, how will others change? What if that parameter is not fulfilled? If in a planning situation, for example, I'm planning for a project, I have to deliver by such and such a date. Somebody asks me, what if we advance the delivery date by week? Can we handle that? So in which case I have to advance the delivery date and work backwards in terms of how are we going to handle, how is it going to affect those operations. Those are all planning situations. We are doing a what if situation. What if the delivery date is advanced? What if this operation takes longer than expected? So we have applications like PERT and CPM and tools provided by vendors like SAS to do planning and simulation. ERP typically is not. It's a transaction system. ERP is very good at capturing transactions, including those done by point of sale systems. The ERP systems are not good at handling what if situations, and also in managing business information and knowledge management. These require different aspects, different skills, and different functionalities to be supported. So we have knowledge management systems separately, learning management systems separately. When I refer to universities, this is one aspect I mentioned ERP is not good at. They capture all the activities of a university, but not very good at the knowledge delivery part itself. How do we deliver knowledge to students? How do we make sure that they're keeping up to speed? How do we make sure that we address their concerns? So the ERP systems are not good at managing business information and knowledge management. We also have tools to do business analytics. ERP provides information for business analytics. By itself, ERP does not do business analytics, but we have analytics tools which are depend upon the information provided by ERP systems to do their operations. Then ERP, as I said, tend to be heavy systems which run slow. So there may be situations where we may have to, other than transactions, where we may have to retrieve information very quickly, like telephone directory systems. Sometimes we should be able to call a number and find out to whom does it belong. And that information has to come back quickly when I'm online. It has to come back within seconds. So ERP systems typically don't do those operations quickly. So we have separate applications called directory services which handle it. So except for some small bunch of business operations, ERP systems are good to support every other aspect. Only some very specialized operations may not be supported by ERP systems. For everything else, they can reasonably do support. And more importantly, ERP systems can integrate with these systems and provide them with the information that these systems need. For example, business analytics depends on information provided by information aggregated, collected and combined by ERP systems to do business analytics. So a simple example of a ERP system developed for a simple application, a multi-location retailer. Let's take a look at what are the things that this system will do and what did it involve. It is a small business with two branches, two companies or two branches, plus one distribution center. The ERP developed for this application included billing, the point of sale, inventory management, warehousing, consolidation, web page maintenance, and managing the customers. Notice that it didn't have a very significant accounting package or a very significant purchasing or sales module. But billing was very critical. That was included in this system. Billing, inventory, warehousing. Warehousing was critical because items had to be stored and retrieved quickly. Whenever an order came, item had to be retrieved from the warehouse quickly. So separate module was developed for warehousing. And this company also wanted to get into the web presence or e-commerce module. So web page maintenance was also included as part of the ERP system. So this ERP system helped this organization to be able to manage from a single location to expand to multiple locations and manage them all from a central source. So that one central location, all the multiple locations could be controlled smoothly. And it also helped operations since inventory and warehousing was done. Cataloging the products was easy, searching the products was easy, better customer service. All the information is available in one source. So if a customer called up and said that, can you tell me the orders I have placed over the last month? It could be quickly done because information had been captured and stored in one single source. And the data collected could be used for planning and forecasting growth. And so as you can see, even a small operation can be profitably developed, supported by ERP systems. And the benefits, the payback goes beyond cost saving. Not just that we are able to handle many more transactions than we could earlier, do better control across multiple locations than we were doing earlier. It also can result in higher customer satisfaction. When a customer calls up and asks us what are the orders I have placed, we can quickly give that information, ensuring better satisfaction from the customer. So if the customer knows that they can always go back and find out the orders they have placed, they may be tempted to come back to us in the future also. This is an example. This is an example to show that even simple operations can be profitably supported by ERP systems. So the advantages of an ERP system. By now, it should be fairly clear that the advantages we are going to gain from an ERP system. First and foremost is that we can get, once an ERP system is implemented properly, we can get an idea of the whole business at a glance. I don't have to call different departments to get different information and combine them together. The ERP system is capable of capturing information from different functions and give an integrated view of the business as a whole. We can, at a single screen, commonly called a dashboard, we should be able to see what were our sales in the last month, what were the purchases, how much we spent on production, what are the cost of labor, what is the profitability. One single source, we can get all that information. And second, as we have seen from the modularization, as the business grows, ERP systems can be expanded while keeping the integration intact. Vendors have developed different modules. So as our business grows, vendors can support us by giving us additional modules to support that additional part of the business while integrating that with what we already have. With a significantly reduced maintenance of data and data entry. Remember that old picture where I entered that information once, 25 items sold to a customer. Beyond that point, nobody needed to enter the 25 items ever again. They can always go back and retrieve that information, refer to that information. So ERP can significantly reduce maintenance of data and data entry. That's the more times manually data has to be entered, more errors could happen. So ERP can significantly reduce the entry errors in data entry by minimizing, and we can also automate. We can also automate data entry, which further can reduce errors. Like when we receive items from a vendor, instead of somebody counting the items and entering it into the system, the vendor can encode it in a barcode. The system can read all the 25 barcodes and automatically update the information. We have received an order for 25 items. Based on that, we issued a PO to the vendor for 25 packaging boxes. Now I have reading 25 barcodes to match with that. So at every point, nobody needs to enter the data, which gives room for errors. It's automated. So ERP systems can reduce significantly the efforts in data entry and reduce the errors. And if there are new requirements, I need a new report. I need a new report showing me what are sales in this particular area over the past 6 quarters, which is not there right now. I want to know in South Zone, what are the sales of this item over the past 6 quarters. Any new requirements which come like that can be easily met because information is there. Somebody has to just put that together. And ERP systems, since we standardize on data, we can integrate with the outside world, with other applications. If I have to integrate my operations with that of my vendor, many big corporations do that. They integrate their systems with their vendors so that if the number of items goes down, the vendor need not wait for a purchase order. The system automatically issues a purchase order to the vendor. So vendor immediately can start manufacturing that item. So integrating 2 different systems, my ERP system could be different from my vendor's ERP system. Integrating with the outside world becomes much more easier because all our data and information is in one single data model. And another big advantage of ERP systems, which also could be disadvantage, we'll see that later. Implementing ERP systems is a very complex activity. It takes a lot of time and effort and cost. So in the process, sometimes we may have to change our operations to match the requirements of the system or match the requirement of the system so that we gain the benefits, which may require that we re-engineer, we take a look at our operations, change them to make them more efficient. So this is one benefit of implementing an ERP system, not the ERP system itself, but by implementing in the ERP system, it may force us to take a look at our business and our operations and re-engineer them to make them more efficient, more in tune with the requirements. And finally, last step, another big advantage of ERP systems is traceability. As we have seen in one of the earlier slides, it's a single piece of information traveling through the system. So if a mistake happens somewhere, or if somebody complains about a problem, we should be able to track that piece of information back to its origin and find out where exactly the error happened. So that's this concept of being able to trace an error to the point of origin where the actual error happened is called traceability. This is a very big advantage of ERP system. When something goes wrong, we don't have to go on a wild goose chase. We can precisely go back and find out where this error happened, how big was the error, who made the error, if you want to know that, when did this error happen. All those kinds of things can be traced back. If we go back to that same slide here, if an error happens somewhere in accounts or the customer complains that I didn't get my 25 items, I got only 22. We should be able to go back and find out where exactly where the error happened. It could have happened while transport. 3 items might have gotten lost on the way. It could have happened at the order fulfillment where the plant may not have manufactured 25 items. Or it could have happened here when the supplier may have supplied only 22 packaging boxes, not 25. So an error discovered here can be traced back to find out where exactly that error happened, how exactly it happened. This concept of tracing this error to either the plant or the supplier or to the transportation, this concept of being able to trace that error back is called traceability, and that is a very powerful advantage of ERP systems. These are some of the key advantages of an ERP systems. Naturally, there are disadvantages. Let's take a look at that. One is the effort involved in implementation. Implementing an ERP system is very complex. As you can see, while implementing an ERP system, the implementers or the vendor has to understand what exactly is going on with the business. And no 2 businesses are ever identical. Two businesses may be manufacturing the same items, but they may be doing it in vastly different ways. So understanding that, understanding what the ERP package does, modifying the package to support the operation, or sometimes modifying the operation itself, takes a significant amount of time, effort, and cost. Often it is said that in implementing an ERP package, the cost of the package may be as little as 10 to 20%. 80% of the cost comes in the implementation aspect of that. Second, for ERP systems to work correctly, information has to be available. If we need to track our purchases, we need to know what is the current inventory. Only then we can say how many items we purchased, what is our current inventory, how many were sent for sales. If we do not have information on the amount of inventory that we have today, we'll never be able to track our purchases and inventory properly. So ERP requires that all the information be available and entered. Many times this could be a big headache. And third, operations have to be consistent. If you have handled if the way we handle a purchase order or a sales order has to be the same in every case. We cannot have different sales orders done in different manners. ERP systems cannot handle such operations. So it requires that companies stabilize. They make their operations consistent and stabilize them. Not always easy. Not always as easy as it sounds. Data capture has to be consistent. If you're automating it, we should automate capture of data at every step. We should use barcode everywhere. It becomes much more difficult to use barcode in some situations, manual entry in some situations. May lead to inconsistency. And of course, as always, ERP captures data which is critical to the business. This is the heart of our business operations. So security and protection of data is another critical aspect with ERP systems. And cost. Doing all this, especially implementation, can become very expensive. So these are some of the big disadvantages of an ERP system. So far, we have looked at some of the advantages which are significant in the case of an ERP system or in any general enterprise system. We also have seen some of the disadvantages. So now let's briefly take a look as to the importance of enterprise systems, ERP systems. Why are we spending so much time in understanding what they are and what they can do for us and why we should implement in them? As I mentioned, the advantages are quite significant. They can completely change the way we do business. And more importantly, perhaps without these enterprise systems, given the huge volumes of workload today, our businesses simply cannot continue without them. They could not have grown to this size without them, and without any enterprise system, our businesses might perhaps collapse. That's a reason by itself to focus on why we should worry about them. More importantly, the failures. If we implement an ERP system, in the implementation, I have highlighted that implementation is a critical element of enterprise systems. If the implementation goes wrong, if there is a mistake, if there is a problem, the failures can be very significant. Let's take a couple of real-life examples, which are quite publicized. One is from the famous sneaker maker Nike, a big US multinational, very successful multinational. Let's see what happened. In the year 2000, Nike invested $400 million in a warehouse order fulfillment system, but instead ended up with over 100 million loss in sales and a 20% drop in the stock market value due to a glitch in upgrading their ERP software. This left stores unable to fill orders, creating a public relations disaster. So they were upgrading. They were not even implementing a new system. They were upgrading. A mistake, which was costing 400 rupees to implement, cost them $100 million in sales, a 20% drop in the stock price, and a tremendous loss of reputation among users. And the other example comes from Hershey Foods, the chocolate maker. Investors balked when the CEO of Hershey Foods announced in the year 2000 that the company was facing issues with its new ERP implementation, preventing it from delivering $100 million worth of stock. Hershey Foods stock price consequently fell 8%, and investors were concerned that a failed software implementation could result in the breaking up of a Fortune 500 company. Look at this example. A mistake in implementing an ERP system came close to making the company fail, breaking up the company itself. That's the reason why we should pay attention to enterprise systems and ERP systems specifically, because any mistake in implementation could bring the whole company down. They could result in financial losses, loss of reputation, reduction in stock price, or perhaps breakup of the company itself. That's the importance. To sum up, enterprise systems are the backbone of most corporations and organizations today. They support operations and track information related to those operations. They aggregate data from all the functional areas of an organization and provide an integrated view. They help operations, control, and planning of operations in an organization. They provide significant tangible and intangible benefits, measurable and non-measurable benefits by proper implementation of ERP systems. Unfortunately, there's a significant cost and effort of implementation. One reason we should pay attention to those factors. And as we have seen, an incorrect or a mistake in implementation can lead to very significant costs while implementing an ERP system. So that is the importance of ERP system, and it brings us to the end of the second lecture. I hope you enjoyed the lecture and were able to gain significant knowledge about ERP systems. There is significant research and literature on ERP systems in the form of books, papers, and other things on the internet. I would encourage all of you to take advantage of those resources and increase your knowledge about ERP systems. Again, this is Dr. Sudhendra Hanumantrao from Manipal University, Jaipur. Thank you.